Christmas comes but once a year, and you can be sure you can manage anything by keeping these 10 tips for hosting Christmas at the top of your mind. These are 10 tips for hosting a fabulous Christmas this year at your house.
It's cold outside, but the fire keeps us warm. We can spend the night beneath the mistletoe. It's cold outside, 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 outside. It's cold outside, outside, outside. Cold outside, outside.
Good manners and proper etiquette are always important, but they are especially crucial during the Christmas season. Remember, manners aren't fancy or limiting. They're from the ancient Latin word for hand, and they show us how to handle ourselves. And there's no better time to handle ourselves well than at Christmas. In fact, as Oscar Wilde said, the only real gift is a portion of oneself. Let's get into these tips. Tip number 1, be aware of timings. Different families have different traditions when it comes to timings on the day. Some prefer to serve a leisurely brunch and then a main meal in the evening, while others sit down for their main meal at lunchtime. Some serve on Christmas Eve rather than on the day itself. As the host, don't worry too much about sticking to a very strict timetable, but do try to give your guests some idea of what to expect and make sure no one goes hungry while they are waiting. If I'm delayed, I will pull together a quick charcuterie board of meats, cheeses, fruits, spreads, and jams with a variety of crackers and breads so that people can have something to munch on while they are smelling and waiting for the food. Tip number 2, it's okay to ask for help. These are your guests, and while they're not your kitchen staff or maid service, most people like to lend a hand. They're going to feel bad watching you work nonstop, so plan ahead and do all you can beforehand to minimize your Christmas Day duties. Ask for help with anything the moment you feel tension coming on. Ask and you shall receive, especially on Christmas. Tip number 3, be considerate of older members of the family. The Christmas meal tends to be quite rich, so some people like to take a breather or go for a walk between courses. Be mindful of any older guests who might be less mobile and would prefer to stay at the table and continue chatting. Be sure to provide them with interesting topics and fun entertainment. Tip number 4, the hostess sets the tone in the home. If the hostess isn't happy, no one is happy. This is Christmas. Put effort into the day. Plan, organize, decorate, use your best china. Plan in depth and have a backup plan. If nothing goes according to plan, don't sweat it. Tension is tangible. Your guests will feel it and everyone is going to be uncomfortable. I will say, honestly and sadly, that I shed a few tears at Thanksgiving. I'm still working on myself, folks, but I worked hard to quickly collect myself so that the party wouldn't be thrown off. Instead of perfection, focus on graciousness. People won't remember your menu in 6 months. They won't remember what color scheme your table was, what place card holders you used, or what you wore. They will never forget how you made them feel. They'll remember the feel of your home. If you're going to be miserable, if someone breaks one of your good plates, don't use them. Sure, you're going to be upset if little Jamal broke the plate because he was trying to spin it like a toy top, but you can't let it ruin your guest Christmas. There are risks associated with being the host, and one of them is that things may get broken. Rise above the shards. Tip number 5. Have a gift for everyone who is attending. Since the presents will be open, everyone needs something to unwrap. Even for the cousins' new boyfriends and girlfriends, the hostess should give each of them a small gift. Even though from experience, you know, they go through relationships so fast, you'll probably never see these friends again. But gifts don't need to be expensive, but they do need to be thoughtful. A personal item that reflects the recipient's taste or interest will always be well received, regardless of how much it costs. It's fine to stick to your personal budget when present buying. It's more important to give something thoughtful and to include a personal handwritten card than to try to compete over expenditure. Tip number 6, include everyone in games or entertainment. Popular Christmas games include charades, Pictionary, and also board games such as Monopoly, Trivial Pursuit, and Scrabble. Ideally, choose games that can be enjoyed by all generations and make sure no one is left out. This year, my family and I played Loaded Questions. I'll link it down below at Thanksgiving. It was such a great board game and for all generations, and it kind of got conversation started. So we really enjoyed this game that we played it more than once over the course of the Thanksgiving holiday. Tip number 7. Spread the Christmas festivities throughout your house. This is always a nice idea, especially if you have a large group that is at your house spending Christmas. Spreading the festivities throughout will ensure that there are different areas where guests can go to do the things you have pre-planned, or they can relax or do nothing at all. There might be a crafts and games area for the kids in one of the bedrooms, along with the TV and a movie to watch later. There might be a movie or a game on the family room TV. And in the living room, you might want to add extra chairs from the dining room after your meal for those that want to relax, listen to Christmas music, and talk. In each room, have enough coasters for everyone and a plate of sweet or savory snacks for munching. Tip number 8, cook ahead. The most important thing you can do to make it through the constant coming and going of the holiday house guest is to prepare many foods in advance. Be it freezable soups, ready-to-bake cookies, or preparing your main dish for the Christmas dinner the night before, you will be very thankful that you did the work during the quieter stretch of days. Tip number 9, keep a well-stocked pantry. Stock up on foods that your guests can help themselves to, such as dry goods for breakfast or late-night snacks. You don't have to make everything or anything really from scratch. Buy good granola, nut butters, jams, a quality loaf of bread, spiced nuts, cold cuts, chips, popcorn, things like that. If you want to be a little extra, then put everything out in a basket with bowls, spoons, and napkins so that your guests can find everything easily and help themselves. This goes for beverages as well. Keep your fridge stocked with bottled water, seltzer, or soda, anything that your guests would need. Show them to the coffee, the tea, and other things of that nature. Tip number 10, leave a welcome note. If you're hosting guests from out of town, in addition to leaving a few essentials in their room, like clean towels, an alarm clock, and basic toiletries, write them a note with helpful tips for their stay. Maybe it's where they find the nearest coffee or lunch spot, your Wi-Fi password, instructions for the TV, or a few suggested activities. Either way, it will make your guests feel welcome and save you from answering these questions later. I hope these tips for Christmas hosting were helpful. Stay tuned for other Christmas tips coming up this month. Keep doing what you're doing. Bless the world by being authentically you at your best. Wishing you a healthy and joyful Christmas. Thanks for watching.
Bye.